Afro Tales podcast is a part of the Connected Podcast Network. Chef. Yes, Glio. Don't you love how we get to share our stories and recipes? Yes, I enjoy it greatly. Do you know what makes it possible for everyone to hear us? Yes, Glio. Our voices, obviously. True, but it's also Anchor, a hosting platform that distributes the podcast to places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and others. Oh, yes. And isn't everything needed to make a podcast in one place? That's correct. And the best thing of all, Chef, it's free. Free, you say? Free. And all I had to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, you just had to download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Yep. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and do what we're doing now. Fantastic, Grio. Simply fantastic. I know, Chef. I know.
Hello, I'm Amon Mazingo, and this is the Afro Tales podcast, a show that will explore the folklore, tales, myths, and legends of the African diaspora. Hey, so today's episode is a bonus story. After doing Owl Women, I really liked the whole owl thing, and I ran across this story and just had to read it to you guys. The reason why owls don't sleep at night. So please take a minute, listen to it. It's a very short tale today. And normally when I do these short tales, I'll probably put two of them together to keep you guys around the same time frame as the longer tales. But I really wanted to get this story out to you guys today. So thank you for taking a moment to listen to this story. It is, again, Why the Owls Don't Sleep at Night. And it's a great tale. It is more of a mythological tale. Still a poor K story. But it is a story that you might find fun. And it has a spiritual aspect to it, and I feel like this may be the origin of all owls, more so than the last story was, like I said before. So, but anyway, take a listen. Hope you enjoy it, and get back to me. You know what to do. All the wonderful things, like, subscribe, notify other people of the stories and what's going on here. All right, thanks. Bye. Why the owls don't sleep at night. Have you ever noticed that whenever a creature starts in this world with a habit, it stays with him his whole life? Not only that, he passes that habit along to his children and his grandchildren. Whether the creature has 2 legs or 4 legs or even more, it works the same way. It works the same way. Another thing is that if you ever want to see anything, all you have to do is open your eyes. See, that reminds me of the case of Mr. Owl. In the very beginning, he was like other birds. He had the same kind of eyes as other birds. He flew around and sang in the daytime just like other birds, and when it got dark, he went to roost and stuck his head under his wings and slept till daybreak just like other birds. But it wasn't long before he got into the habit of sitting up at night and calling out, "Woohoo!" And he has never stopped doing that to this very day. So what happened? I'll tell you. During the week that the creatures were all getting created and were just learning how to keep house, the good Lord noticed that there were some things going wrong at night that he was mighty nervous about. One morning, he found the pig's tails curled up. Another morning, the deer's tails and the goat's tails were cut clean off. The possum and the rat had the hair on their tails pulled straight off. And the third morning, the duck had lost his forelegs while the snake lost all of his. That got God to worry, and he didn't know what was going to happen next. But he had a suspicion that it just may be some of old Nick's doings. But he never said anything to anybody. He just went over to old Mr. Owl and asked if he wouldn't mind staying up at night and keeping a lookout and see what was going on and how it was happening. And old Mr. Owl said he'd be mighty proud to stay up. Only he's afraid he couldn't see very well in the dark. Then the good Lord told him all he had to do to see in the dark was open his eyes wide. So they fixed it up that way. And when it got dark, the owl never went to bed. He just opened his eyes a little wider and got out in the open and where he could look around all over the countryside. And every time it got a little darker, he opened his eyes up a little wider. And he didn't have any trouble seeing all that was going on. And sure enough, right about midnight, he saw old Nick trying to tie knots in the horse's manes. And he called out, "Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo!" That right there, old Nick got so scared that he ran away and left the horses alone, struck across the country in the dark. But the owl, he opened his eyes up a little wider, and he followed after him. And every once in a while, he'd call out, "Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo!" Well, all that ruckus sure scared old Nick away. But when daylight came, old Mr. Owl had his eyes so wide open, he couldn't shut them. And the bright sun just gave him a terrible headache. When the good Lord saw that, he told old Mr. Owl that since he had been up all night before, he could find himself in a shady place and sleep all day, to make up for the sleep he lost the night before. But when night came around, Mr. Owl was resting, and he noticed he didn't have a headache anymore, and he felt so wide awake that he stayed up that night too, keeping watch. After that, he got into the habit, and he's had it ever since. That reminds me of something else. You ever wonder why hens are scared of owls? Well, it's a funny little story. You see, once the hens used to have dances every Saturday night, and they would ask old Mr. Owl if he could be their fiddler. He didn't mind, and he was always careful to go away before daylight, so that when the hens looked at him, they wouldn't see his big eyes. The last time he fiddled for him, though, daylight caught him. And when the hens had a good look at his eyes, they were so frightened into fits and squalling all around the room that he just ran off. Ever since then, the hens cannot even bear the shadow of an owl. The end. Thank you for your time. You may find the Afro podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you may listen. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Folktales Podcast, all one word, and Twitter at AfroTalesCast. Please give us a like, rating, and a comment so others may find us just as you have. Again, I'm Aman Mazinga, and this is Afro Tales Podcast. Have a great day.